Hello, everybody. Greetings and welcome to episode 8 of Friending the Mirror. I'm your hostess, Dawn Shaw. I'm a professional speaker and I've written a couple of books. Mostly I bring this to you because I'm interested in educating you about anything and everything to do with physical differences, appearance, insecurities, all that type of thing. Today, I'm very pleased to have with me, all the way from South Africa, is Vanessa Carter. The title of today's episode is Driving Online Global Medical Innovation. When a car accident in Johannesburg in 2004 changed her face forever, Vanessa found herself confronting the limitations of the South African healthcare system. The extensive 10-year process of reconstructing her face was due not only to the complexity of her case, but also because medical specialists who could have helped her were not advertising online and were therefore hard to find. Perceiving the need for the South African medical community to broaden their online presence, Vanessa established a medical website division to her existing business, ArtText, which specializes in graphic design and brand management for small business. She uses her online and social media skills to advance accessibility and improve the patient experience, as well as connecting people in the medical profession. She also founded Healthcare Social Media South Africa on Twitter with a hashtag of HCSMSA, and is currently an ambassador to Doctors 2.0 and U, the International Digital Health Conference. So, Vanessa, a big, huge, warm welcome from a long way away, a 9-hour time difference. Hello, Vanessa.
Hi, Dawn. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm just fabulous, and I'm so excited to have you here. Anyway, we're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to, first of all, since Vanessa, like me, is a facial difference person, I'm going to ask Vanessa to tell us how she ended up having a facial difference.
We went out to dinner one night. We had a car accident, and we had a very bad accident coming back from dinner the one night. There was a car speeding, and they overtook us, and we ended up in the wall. And my body was just, it was positioned the wrong way, so I broke a lot of bones in my pelvic area, and I had intensive internal injuries. And I hit my face on the dashboard, and that was sort of the start of the 10-year journey for me. They took me to the nearest hospital, and it was a drug routine. And I lay in casualty for about 13 hours till they could get me a bed. You know, so it's taken me a long journey to get to the healthcare system here. But that's how I got my facial difference. We had a car accident, and yeah, there was a lot of the cheek got destroyed, and I broke my jaw and I broke my nose, and I lost my eye.
So, because this is a show a little bit about appearances, would you mind telling us how did you deal with that? I mean, what was it like to wake up and know and to look in the mirror for the first time, knowing that things were just very different for you? How did you handle that physically and emotionally?
You know what? I didn't actually know that the accident had happened. I woke up and I don't know where I was. I heard machines around me. I heard the breathing machine and the heart machine, and I looked up and I saw a white ceiling, and I actually thought I was at home. You know, and over time I started realizing that I was in hospital. I couldn't move. There was like, you know, pieces that where I was awake and then I was asleep, and you know, when I heard the nurses talking, they said, you know, the damage that had been done to my face when they were talking to my mom in the hospital. And there may be some papers that were saying, you know, you've got to take out your eye, we can't save your eye. It made me very scared to look in the mirror. And about 4 weeks after the accident, I actually did. I thought to myself, you know what, you can't avoid this whole situation. You have to face it. You have to look in the mirror and you have to face it. You have to deal with it. And that's what I did. And yeah, so I didn't actually know what to do. I think a lot of people, when they're in that situation, they don't know what to do. There's no answers to your questions. You're overwhelmed. The only thing you can do is take each day as it comes, and that's what I did. So, you know, live every day for what it is.
Well, that's good advice about taking each day as it comes. Certainly, I mean, I think, yeah, and especially when it's a huge tragic situation like that. Couple of housekeeping things real quick. Vanessa's internet is a little bit jumpy, so hopefully I can understand the majority of what she says. She also, of course, has that what we in North America would call a lovely accent. So hopefully everybody's being able to understand what she says, and because her information is so valuable. So I'm going to jump on to the next question. So how was your support system, your family, friends? How was that for you?
You know, I'm very fortunate to have a very, very amazing mom. She was bringing me soup every single day. I mean, it was almost 40 kilometers that she was traveling, but she brought me soup because I couldn't eat. I had a broken jaw. And, you know, as the 10 years went on, I'm actually really surprised because everybody stood by me. When I had the accident, I had people SMSing me from overseas I hadn't seen in years, from school, that had heard, you know, Vanessa had this accident and she's dying, she's, you know, damage to her face, she's in ICU and Joe and to this day that I share my story and I say, well, now I'm going to turn it into something. People support me. They're not sick of my story because I'm turning it into something. And it makes me so fortunate because I don't believe that something happens to you without a purpose. So if you're going to let life dictate to you about where you are in life, you know, if you've had a mishap or in my case, you've had a very bad car accident and damage to your face, don't let it tell you you are, you know, so, yeah.
Okay, so you talk about being an ePatient and how involved you are in connecting people online. So could you define the term ePatient for everyone? And also, how did you become one?
You know, in my belief, we're all ePatients. Anybody that patients and the letter E, I think is there's actually articles on the internet about a man called Tom Ferguson who wrote an article about what an e-patient is, what the predictions are about an e-patient. E meaning the internet. 20 years ago, when you went to go see a doctor and you had the flu, he would prescribe antibiotics, and you as a patient would take the antibiotics and you would go home and you wouldn't question what you had. In today's age with the internet, you Google what you have, you research what you have, you do whatever you can to make sure that the way that you're getting treated is right. You're empowered because of digital technology. So that is evolving the way the digital technology is evolving. As long as you're researching and you understand that not every single website is accurate, you know how to search for information. You'll skip the forums and you'll go, well, you know, these guys are talking about something that doesn't sound right. Then we go to a patient community and ask them if I've got flu, what they're experiencing. You're empowering yourself with digital technology. That is what an ePatient is. And it just stands, I mean, if you look on Wikipedia, it stands for so much more. I'm engaged in my health. I go onto Twitter and I connect with people. I build networks around my health. I use digital technology to empower myself. When I walk into a doctor's office now, because of the research that I've done on social media, on the web for the last decade, they think I'm a total nutcase because I start talking about bioprinting and how it's going to, be able to print faces in the next 10 years. They don't know that because they don't follow medical technology online. And e-patients, empowered patients, do, because we use the internet to understand what's happening globally. So the internet and social media is all about global health, about connecting, that is what an e-patient is. There's no certificate, there's no, you are officially an e-patient. We are all e-patients if we are empowering ourselves. And that even goes to the point where you're using a device like Fitbit or, one of these devices that are S-Health is connected to your Samsung phone, where you go to gym and you're monitoring your heartbeat, or it's connected to your record in the cloud. You're empowering yourself because you're monitoring yourself on the internet. You are looking after your health. You're understanding your condition. You make informed decisions. So if you get cancer and you research and you understand that the websites that I use, I'm researching from are accurate, and because in theory, education is about articles. It's about what other doctors have done to educate others, what research has done to educate others. And the internet is all, it's full of research. It's full of articles. It's full of, when I researched my reconstruction, I went to PubMed. I researched every single type of facial reconstruction to understand what I needed. That is empowering yourself to if a doctor says to you, listen, we need to do microsurgery, and I'll say, well, you know what, my blood supply is not right, my bone structure is not right. That means that I need to go to a maxillofacial surgeon, and the microsurgeon might say, well, I feel this, the advice. As a patient, you empowering yourself means that you understand the procedures and diabetes, for instance, is a big issue with patients. Knowing when you're a patient, you know more about your own condition than a physician does, because you spend more time living it and experiencing it than they've studied it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I absolutely. I'm sorry to jump in here. I just want to say I absolutely love the idea of the E to stand for empowerment. So basically, to sum up what you're saying is an e-patient is simply someone who has access to everything that's online. And I mean, one of the things you have to be careful of, though, is they really tell you, they warn you, don't diagnose yourself based on what you read online. So how does that fit into what you're talking about? And I know that I hope I'm not catching you too much by surprise on this, but don't we have to be a little careful about using what we see online and trying to apply it to our own selves?
Yeah, definitely, because that's why I say, not every patient is empowered. The only empowered patients are the ones that understand that not every website is accurate. I mean, if I want to go and I want to research volcanoes in Hawaii, example, what is the first place I'm going to go? I'm going to go to Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is moderated. It's moderated information from experts, and if it's not accurate, it's getting kicked off. medical information is the same thing. So if you go to a forum where people are randomly putting out information, it's not accurate. I mean, you've got to be decisive about what you believe and what you don't. And that's what I think they're trying to fix on the internet, on the web, is patients don't know any better. They Google their condition. They believe anything that they read. They over-dramatize things, and then they walk into their doctor's rooms and go, like I had MRSA. I had to understand MRSA. I'd never heard of MRSA. Most people don't know what MRSA is, and it's a fatal condition. When I heard that I had this fatal condition inside my body on an implant, I was like, get it out of me because it's going to kill me if it gets into my body. What you start reading on the internet about MRSA, and it was in my eyelid, which is even worse because your blood supply to such an area, they can't even get the antibiotics to that area because the blood vessels are so fine. And but this was information I was reading on the internet. So
yeah.
We have to.
Yeah, I just want to jump in real quick and just say that, we just call it MRSA here. So I just want to make sure that everybody, I think most people here know what MRSA is. It's a very antibiotic resistant infection. And indeed, you're right, it can be fatal. So I just want to make sure that people are understanding what you're addressing here. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
MRSA, I guess I'm going to call it MRSA because MRSA is, but the bottom line was I had to educate myself there was just so much information about this online. That's where I think equality comes in, because a patient can go research MRSA, walk into the doctor's office and say, you're trying to hide something from me because it's going to kill me. That's what I did. And the doctor at the same time. You have to, this is where equality comes in with ePatients, because doctors are not there for no reason. We've got access to information, the patient, but it's an equal, because of digital technology, it's becoming an equal healthcare system. And I think patients have to realize it as well. We don't know everything. We don't, because we've got the internet. We don't know better than the doctor. So it's trying to meet each other in the middle.
So how are you?
You?
So let me just jump in and say, all right. So how are you helping to drive global medical innovation, online innovation? I mean, I know that you're very active. So what is your personal role in doing this?
It's probably going to sound like a strange thing. I've been in business for 18 years. I started with nothing. I had no money in my bank account. I had no guide, a paintbrush and some paint, and I was just, I would approach a paint company and I would say, sponsor the paint, and if you sponsor the paint, I will get the company that I'm doing work for to put your advert up, and everybody benefits. And as time went by, I started realizing that was kind of networking, because social media for me is about networking. It's about building your networks. It's about what can we learn from the patient, but at the same time, how can networks grow technology? So it's actually quite a diverse subject. If you take example, healthcare social media, HCSM, the way that I see it is a tweet chat. HCSM SA is a tweet chat. It's going to be in the future a tweet chat. but there's so much more diversity to it. It can be a thread that doctors can go onto, or entrepreneurs can go onto, to follow, to connect with others locally, and from there diversify into other areas. So, because not everybody has got a technical mind, and we're talking about digital health here. So, if we accelerate healthcare with a hashtag, how are we going to do that if half of the users don't really understand what anybody else is talking about? We have to simplify it. The same way that maybe Windows 8 simplified how to use the interface. Now we've got buttons with pictures, and that's how we make social media in healthcare.
So which hashtags have you created that doctors and patients are using?
The main the two that I've submitted to a company called Simpler, which is, in my opinion, the leading global analytics company, is HCSMSA and facial difference. So, what they do with that basically is, we're talking health here. So what's happened with the internet is health is just boomed everywhere. We've got these forums, we've got these all inaccurate places, but to be technical, to be clinical about it, to keep it moderated like PubMed or let's keep on the topic. And so, yeah, those are the two that I've created, and they're growing slowly. Facial difference is growing slowly, but I think a lot of the patients, they just feel it's, of course, it's about being accepted rather than, it's a little bit different to the clinical side of things. It's acceptance. It's being who you are. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, so let's move on then. Are you personally done with your surgeries? Or do you still have more that you plan to do?
Yeah, you know what, I had a lot of medical reports, and I probably went through about 40 or 50 doctors that did medical reports on me. My stomach, my face, my emotional, everything. And they predicted all sorts of things. They said I needed a hip replacement. I needed I couldn't fall pregnant. Actually, I couldn't. I had to try for a year, and eventually they had to get rid of adhesions inside of me for me to fall pregnant. So there were a couple of reports that were right. So I think for the rest of my life, my anatomy is not normal. The adhesions inside of my stomach, they've said, especially from operations, could get worse the second time around. Adhesions is your body kind of overheals, inside. We get keloid scars. Inside your intestines, you overheal. So you block, you get blockages, and you can't get liquid and food and everything down.
From scar tissue?
Yeah, I get that. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. I think that's also what made me realize, I lived 10 years of my life feeling so insignificant and inferior to everybody else because of my face. Because I had to face other people, and I was like, well, I can't even look at them because of my face, because of how I felt. iPad or tinted glasses or whatever. And then when my stomach went, I thought, why am I doing this to myself? It actually is all in my mind. It's all in my mind. I've got lots of surgery ahead, but I don't live my life around what's going to happen next. I live my life around what am I doing now.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in for a second. So you were talking about it all being in your head, the way other people treat you, or just, people are going to know this, but you're different. I mean, that's just reality. So, but you think that maybe, meaning all in your head, are you exaggerating how they're responding to you? Or are you, what am I looking for? Have you just decided you're not going to worry about it?
No, you know what? I haven't exaggerated it. It's a reality of facial difference. I think anybody that's different, whether you overweight, whether you are in a wheelchair, people look because they, especially a facial difference. Because in my opinion, especially in my country, there's been no awareness about it. Before social media. That's why I think I actually believe in this cause so much, because before I got online and I started advocating, I was isolated. I was on my own. I didn't know anybody else that had, and I'm a user, that had a deformity like me. And people stared and they looked at me. When I was wearing an iPad for so many years, it was, has he beat me up again? The kids, I used to go to preschool where I fetched my son, and they would all come to me and go, "What happened to you? Riley's mom, what happened to you?" And you had to repeat myself over and over and over again,
Yeah, maybe we just need to get t-shirts.
A way that or a tattoo on my face saying, "I've got a facial difference, what's going on, who cares?" What I realized in the end was that it was my attitude. It was either I sit there going, "Don't ask this," or don't, you try and avoid it, or you just accept it. It's just life. It's life. I can't hide my face. Just like somebody in a wheelchair can't hide the wheelchair. Or just like somebody that, if you've lost your leg, everybody, like I said, if you're overweight, we're all different. This whole perception of if we all have a beautiful body, a beautiful face, it's going on for far too long. We are all different. Nelson Mandela, that's why he's a role model of mine. He came out and said, accept everybody who they are on the inside, because we're all going to die. It's kind of looking at it like, I'm richer than you. Okay, well, who cares? We don't care. Nobody cares. You've got more money than me. Who cares? You've done better than me. Who cares? Stop comparing yourself to everybody else. It's stuff. It's material. It's exterior. It's the same thing. You know what matters? Is we all go to the same place, or wherever we go afterwards. That's what matters.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in a little bit. You've kind of been breaking up a little bit, so I just wanted to make sure that people understood what you said, because it's really valuable. And that is, you were saying, quit comparing yourself to others. We're all going to get old, and so our looks are going to go eventually, and we all end up basically the same place in the end. So, and I just wanted to reiterate those points, because I think those are just incredible parts of the message. We need to quit looking at people as how are they attractive, or whatever that means, and just start looking at people as just people, and that's just the way they are. And so I totally get that. So before we run out of time, I wanted to ask you something really important, because I know it's important to you. You are now an ambassador to Doctors 2.0, and I want to find out, what does that mean, and how did you get that way?
After my stomach collapsed, I started a Facebook page. I had this feeling in my stomach, and I thought to myself, before you end up in this situation again, act on what you feel you want to do. whether it seems like a ridiculous idea or not, just do it. And so I started the Facebook page, the Face to Say project, and I started. I mean, in my country, if you start anything to do with healthcare, the day that I did it, I thought they're going to arrest me. They find me. I don't care, because I have to do this. I have to act on my instincts. And I even spent, a little bit of money on marketing it, because I thought, if I get the message out there, be different, be yourself. It's important. Anyway, I got in touch with Patricia Anderson, who is such an amazing woman. She's an emerging technologies librarian at Michigan University. And she said to me, I love your page. Have you tried Twitter? And I was quite blown away, because I thought, wow, Michigan University, they like my page. I've got to try Twitter. And I went on, and I think my first tweet was something sort of like, I'm trying this out for the first time. I didn't know what to do with Twitter. Couldn't understand why she said to me, go to Twitter, but I tried it anyway. And next minute, I had all these people following me. And one of the people was Tom Fox, and another one was Lisa Fields, who was from a community which is hashtag HCLDR, Healthcare Leader, which was a tweet chat. Tom messaged me, and he said to me, I've spoken to Patricia, and you it's great, carry on with what you're doing. We're an analytics company, and nobody's submitted the hashtag facial difference, so we'll just monitor it. And I started reading all these articles. Him and Patricia and Lisa Fields started mentoring me. But I started asking them questions. I was just always, I wanted to know what is happening on Twitter. Why are there all these hashtags and people following me, and what are you people doing, on Twitter? What is happening here? And that was about 2 years ago. Anyway, Lisa and I started communicating over Skype, and then I started waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go to healthcare for you.
Sorry, that one did not come through. I think you said that you started waking up at 2 in the morning. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Every Tuesday, 2 o'clock in the morning, for healthcare leader. I used to wake up, and they were discussing what is happening in healthcare, in digital health in America.
So you were jumping onto, basically you were jumping onto a live discussion on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Into a tweet chat, and most of the hashtag tweet chats are discussing issues. So I learned a lot from that. I networked a lot from that, and then from there I got introduced to Denise at Doctors 2.0, and she invited me to the Congress, and after spending a year on healthcare leaders, seeing what was happening, and seeing what Doctors 2.0 was about, I went. And it's an amazing Congress. It's an all year round community of patients. I think that it's making a huge difference, globally. I learned a lot. I mean, I tried on Google Glass. I learned about mobile health. I learned about mobile applications. I learned about entrepreneurship and how important it actually is, to use the web and social media to accelerate innovation. So I'm very proud to be a part of it. This year we're actually judging she's asked me to judge a video, and for South Africa, that's a huge thing, to be included in such an amazing way. And I've met amazing people, from Silicon Valley. So yeah.
Well, and you're not you're not just representing South Africa. I mean, like it or not, you get to represent all of us with facial differences. I mean, your influence is becoming global just because of the actions that you have taken. And I think that's really important. So you're going to Paris again this year, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to Paris. And then after Paris, I've decided to go to New York and meet another patient from About Face, who started a patient community. She's known as Kateri Joe Kana on Facebook. And then another professor, Howard Lukes, I'm meeting as well. You know, I think everything is about learning. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Learning. And eventually, my vision, my goal is to take all this knowledge, all this information, put it in a book and get South Africa online. Because what I've learned, what I've been exposed to, Africa and South Africa could benefit from. Because, you know what, it is about global networking. What you know, what you could teach me, if I'm open-minded, could change my country if I'm open-minded. You know, and it kind of is what it takes. You know, we're not living in the old. I love old school. You know, but technology is about the future. Technology is about, you have to have an open mind. You have to have an imagination. And you know what? Imagination in business is actually the best asset you can ever have. Because if you have a vision, you have goals. You know where you're going, and that's the way healthcare should be. Where are we going with healthcare? What are we doing with healthcare? Because at this point in time, globally, you know, only the patient, you know, that's why I love the message coming from digital health. Me as the patient, I should do my records. I should walk into my doctor's office and say, you know, I think, you know, I need with my facial reconstruction, I think I need a zygomatic osteotomy. Well, you know, my doctor in the end, my microsurgeon was saying, how did you learn that? Well, I researched, you know, I networked, I asked questions, I wrote overseas. And fortunately enough, I had doctors replying that were compassionate enough.
So Vanessa, we need to start wrapping this up. And so basically what I'm going to do now is ask anybody. I know that she's kind of been coming in and out because of the internet. So hopefully, I mean, I was able to get the gist of everything she was saying, but if anybody has any questions, didn't quite understand something, a point she was trying to emphasize, now is the time. There's about a 30-second delay. So I'm going to put up her list. If you want to learn more about Vanessa, how to contact her on social media, and basically all of her information is here, more about her whole story, her Doctors 2.0 involvement. It's all going to be available at this website. So absolutely go check that out for more information. I know we have a few viewers online, but I'm not seeing any questions come up yet. I am going to ask Vanessa for, I mean, and feel free to jump in with your questions, but I am going to ask Vanessa for any closing comments. I always ask my guests what value, if they could make a recommendation to somebody about how to improve their life today, what is a first step they can take? And I know for Vanessa, it might have been buying a sports car. But for anyone else, but I think she actually covered a lot of that already when she talked about, you know, just being proactive in your own care, in making sure that you're doing your own research so that you can talk intelligently when you go into the doctors. Quit comparing yourself to others. I think it's really important, but I'm going to give Vanessa a chance to say a few last things in her own words.
You know what, for me, I think it's about Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't let the stereotype of anything, and that includes if you're a beautiful woman and society says you're stupid because you're a beautiful woman, people stereotype everybody, whether you are a facial difference patient, you know, and they also tend to pity everybody based on that stereotype. So, you know, my advice is work on your mind every single day of your life. When you wake up, tell yourself what you're capable of and believe it. If you have a dream, don't tell yourself that it's unrealistic. Go for it. And if it doesn't work and you make a fool out of yourself, it doesn't matter. Keep going for it. Change your dream. If you think, oh, you know, I've had enough of that dream, do the next thing. But don't ever let the world tell you, in fact, the world telling you, it's your mind telling you that you are not capable. Work on your mind. Work on what you tell yourself. Work on positive thoughts every single day of your life. Forget about society. Forget about the rules, because who makes the rules? You make the rules. You make the rules of how you live your life. And I think that's accountability as well. You know, if you make a mistake, it's your mistake. But be yourself, you know. So that's my advice.
That is fantastic, actually, because that's a lot. In fact, we were talking about this when we did the test the other night. I mean, that is definitely something that is valuable. I have a comment from one of our viewers, Betty Ann. She says, I learned a lot. Thank you. Great interview and fascinating guest. So there you go. You have a future in public speaking, Vanessa, whether you think so or not. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to go into my conclusion now. So I just want to say thanks again so much for being here. And anyway, so my next webinar is going to be on Tuesday, May 5th. So Cinco de Mayo, everybody grab a margarita, sit down with us, and I am going to have Kit Carlson. He's a musician, music producer, audio engineer, and he was about to go on tour with a band called Stephen Kellogg and the Sixers, and the night before the tour, he discovered he had Bell's palsy. Did that stop him? No, he went on the tour anyway. So the title of the episode is called The Bell's Toll, on tour with Bell's palsy. And that'll be at 12 noon on May 5th. Also, do not forget, we talked a little bit about words today. Do not forget to be kind to others, but also make sure that you're kind to yourself. Thank you very much for joining us today, and enjoy whatever weather you're having.
We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.